good? Okay, hey guys! It's about that time again for Witchy Wednesdays, and we'll do a little bit of talking here while everybody heads on over. So, I wanted to show you guys some fun stuff that I got. My supplier actually sent me one to check it out and kind of let them know what I thought, and what I think is it's amazing. So it's a selenite. Where do I need to go direction wise for this bit to be seen? On
down just a
down?
Yeah.
Okay. See, my assistant needs to help me here. You can speak.
Gotcha.
I don't know what that means.
Down.
Okay. So basically it's selenite, and it's carved, and it's obviously a bat. It's absolutely adorable. I love bats. Saw a bunch when we were out in Texas. April and May? April. And then last night we were watching Storm outside, and there's these two big bats. They're actually pretty good size flying around. So we have a bat box on order, because if you have bats, you always want to have a bat box around. It helps give them shelter, a place to nest, a safe place away from the elements. And because bats are protected, we want to keep them around. Plus, bats are awesome. They eat bugs.
And they eat bugs. Exactly. There's like 5 distinct species that live within this area. I can't remember them offhand.
One of them was like, what, 8-inch wingspan?
8-inch wingspan, yeah, it's pretty big.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's
like
for
this
a
big.
bat. No, it's not. It's like,
he's a fun hater.
it's like your hand.
Yeah, like this. My
Yeah.
hand. See, my hand. And then they had the big eared, I remember was one of them, where they have the huge ears. And then one that has like a kind of a stuck-up nose.
Mm-hmm.
Because we looked at all the pictures. So it's kind of cool. I honestly didn't know there was that many bats out here. So hopefully when we get the bat house, they all decide to come hang out here. How are we looking on that end?
I'm trying to, there we go. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
looking good.
Okay, so I did put in the description the link, and what it is this time, we're going to make it a little bit easier. I had a few people comment they had struggled a little bit with the PayPal thing, so we're just going to go ahead and use my fundraiser that I have set up, because it's really easy if you guys want to tip me or pay the $5 to skip to the front of the line or get extra questions answered. If you have any questions, obviously comment with them. My sexy assistant is manning the computer, and he will make sure that everybody is as little confused as possible about everything, and basically just make the donation to the fundraiser right through Facebook. That way it's all secure. You don't have to go off site. You don't have to do all this stuff. It's right there. So yes, let's get on to what we're going to be using tonight, because I kind of wanted to change it up from what we did last time. Everybody knows the cards. Obviously, we love the cards, but I have a lot of tools that I like to use, and not only in readings, but when I do investigations, house cleansings, all of that stuff. I bring these every single time, and they come in their own little pouch that they actually really love being in, so they stay in there till they're ready to come out. But these are dowsing rods. How am I height wise? Down?
Yep.
Okay. So there is a good shot of them. I have had these for a very long time. They're very trustworthy. Now, dowsing rods have actually been around for many centuries. They were used back in the Dust Bowl era, and they were different material, obviously, back then, but they were used to find water, ley lines, other sorts of resources, and so they not only can help the communication through the veil, but they also help you find the resources you need. So if you're a witchy survivalist, you gotta have some.
So those are copper, and there's other types of material that they can use. What other types of material have you seen those made of?
I've seen people use sticks, which is really great because it's elemental. And also I've seen some aluminum and some other like stainless steel type material, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it works, but honestly, if I was to say this is what you need, you really want to have copper. And I do love mine because they have a rotating cuff. So I have no control over what the dowsing rod actually does. So as you can see here, how am I doing on my thing? Can you see my hand?
Yep,
okay.
That looks good.
I'm not moving my hand, but this is able to move. So I literally can guarantee that I have no control over which way these are going, what they're saying. And I really do like that. When you have some with a stable handle, it can get a little more difficult. And I just like to be able to show everybody that I'm not doing it as well. So that's why I prefer copper. I'm sure there is a much more scientific reason copper resonates with spirit better, but that we would have to go over to the assistant for.
Well, more than likely being elemental, copper, and it's been a while since my metallurgy had to come out, but obviously it's of the earth, if you will, and it will tarnish due to oxidization and gain its own kind of patina, if you will, its own look, its own feel. So they definitely can, obviously copper is used in electrical wiring and every type of application, so almost being a conduit, or at least the person using it is the conduit, and the copper actually transferring that energy from, say, if you're looking for water in the ground or ley lines or spirits, in this case, it can translate a lot clearer, if you will, like a clearer picture on a better TV. So.
Yeah. These have already kind of started to have their own character and their own look, which is really wonderful because they really do have their own feel to them. So I always do cleansings before, after, protection, and so forth. If you ever do get into this, don't just go into it and grab a pair of dowsing rods and pierce that veil, because there are some protections that need to be in place, and all that's been done. And I do a lot of cleansing with my tools as well. I guess start on how they work. So basically, when I use these for readings, now when I use them for readings, they're going to work differently than anything else, but we're just worrying about readings right now. Now, I'm staying still, and I do give them a little hold on top. Am I okay on my angle? On top when I'm first starting, because I'm moving around, so they're going to move around. It's going to be crazy. Now, what I always love to do is I will ask them, I will get them straight, can you show me yes? So you see how they went in? That indicates yes. And that's what I was saying about the free moving. I was sitting still. Hello. While the cat was sniffing my armpit. Weird. And now I can go, can you show me no? And see how they go outwards like that? That's no. Can you go back to neutral? And sometimes this takes them a little while, but this is a really good bonding, cleansing exercise. Please go to neutral. So see how they're kind of like, hey, what's up? It was because she was jumping around on me. Can you take your cat? Thanks. Can you show me yes? Thank you. Can you go back to neutral, please? Perfect. Thank you. So you see how that energy literally confused these guys? They're like, what the heck? Chaotic cat energy.
Right.
Yeah, you can read runes. You just stick to runes. Okay, Mahi? Ooh, nobody puts baby in the corner.
Right.
So I guess that's what I have about how these work and their reactions and what to look for, I guess. Do we have any more questions about that? Or anything I need to cover?
So obviously spirits are moving the rods whenever you ask the question.
Yes.
Right? So
spirit is doing its energy thing and getting these guys to move to say yes, no, or not answer at all. Sometimes they don't want to answer. It's just like sometimes you don't want a cheeseburger. Sometimes you do.
I has cheeseburger.
Ghost has cheeseburger.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna go because the dowsing rods are kind of snobby with you. They don't like you because you get hair on everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna open up by asking a couple questions just to make sure that we're getting the answers we need. Am I at a good level here?
Yeah, looks
Cool.
like it.
Are there two people in the room? Yes. Okay. And I don't always ask them to go back to neutral just because that's just another step and we're not going to sit through all of that. So I'll put them back to neutral and kind of give them a little bit of a shake. And now I will say, do I have two cats? Oh, they didn't rat me out. There's a cat in the back. No. I didn't think about that before I asked. They didn't rat me out. No, there's not a cat in the back. What if it went to yes?
Maybe you shouldn't get hauled in for questioning. You might crack under the pressure.
Don't ask Spirit to be your backup man on your interrogation.
Spirit wingman.
Right? So it said no because I've got one cat because my cat won't let me have another cat. So, therefore, we got everything right. We got the answers right. I guess, do you have a question that we can start off, kind of like we did last time? A yes or no question you want to ask the rods.
Oh, will it rain at the beach tomorrow? That's a good one. Will it rain at the beach tomorrow? Yes.
Hold on.
We don't like that answer.
We don't. We're going to rephrase this. Will we be able to go to the beach tomorrow without rain interfering? Okay, we like that answer. Much better. Much better.
It was a more broad stroke statement. It's raining at the beach now. It's raining at the beach at 6 a.m. in the morning.
It's going to rain at the beach at like 2 a.m. in the morning. Because we have been rained out of
one beach.
That's when we got out of the water. Cause
yeah, the lightning
strike. Like, let's go.
It was probably about 100 yards from us, but don't want to play
theory?
that game.
Don't want to test that theory?
Yeah, no, we're not testing that theory.
Okay, so I do a lot of cleansing work and so forth, and doing what I do, obviously, I connect with people who are still alive or in spirit, and sometimes they like to hang out in the house and touch things. So he was cooking dinner the other night, and it was after a session I had. And somebody decided to turn the, stove dials, I guess?
Yeah, they turned the stove down.
Yeah, they turned the stove down, so then his stuff took even longer to cook. And it was one of those days where everything was just happening. So, let's see. Now, I do know Spirit's name, so I am going to use a name here. Was it E-Dub that messed with the stove? Yes. He didn't want to admit it there for a minute.
Yeah, he was like, I didn't do that.
Does E-Dub understand So we didn't appreciate him turning our stove down. Oh, that was a quick one. Yes. Go back to neutral, please. Thank you.
Maybe,
Oh
no.
no.
Maybe he's trying to tell us that we need to let the steak rest a little
Right.
longer, right?
Were you trying to help us, Edub? Yes.
Well, let me know next time. We need a different sign from, turning to whatever side we had.
God, what was it? Pasta? I can't even remember.
I can't remember, but
But
it was like,
turn it off.
why isn't this done?
Why is this not cooking? So yeah, it's kind of a thing where they kind of like to play around and hang out and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do we have any questions?
No questions. We have 1, 2, 3 people watching.
Nice.
So,
Well, guys, feel free to comment with your questions. The first one is always free. That's how I get you. And so any question that's a yes or no question, go ahead and put it in the comments and he'll let me know when it pops up and we can see what the rods have to say. Oh, well, I can't talk. Also, just say hi. Let me know who's here because he's looking at it. I can't. That's why I keep wanting to look.
yeah, you're the talent. I'm the
I want to see.
I'm the guy in the chair.
I want to see. So, and I plan on kind of switching up how I do the readings every week as well. So I'll be doing some, don't rub on that, different style of readings all the time, kind of keeping it fresh and doing different things. Any questions? Nobody questions?
Nope. Let's see. Are we going to have a fun time at the beach this weekend?
Oh, yeah. Did you hear that knocking?
That was her.
She doesn't have a ball over there. There's nothing over there.
No, who not? Well, I guess we can't ask who not.
Like, there's no toy over there.
Interesting. She might have gotten her claw under the door a little bit. She can pull on the bedroom door, so she can probably pull on that door too.
I don't know. Weird. That was weird. Okay, so are we going to have fun at the beach on Sunday? Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday. Yes.
Cool.
Go back to neutral, please. There we go. Are we going to see baby horseshoe crabs?
That's super specific.
I'm on a mission.
Right?
Okay, thank you so much. Super specific, but it said so. So I'm going to have a little talking to with the spirits if it doesn't happen.
Right?
Yeah. Horseshoe crabs.
We can't bring one home, but it'll be cool to see at least.
Oh, yeah.
So,
It'll, like, the one I saw in the video, it was like a
itty bitty
dime.
guy? Yeah.
It was like a dime. It was
that's
like,
pretty cool.
holy crud. Got that?
Well, someone wants to be on camera, that's for sure.
Yeah. Anyone just want to watch the cat? I mean, we could
Right.
just set the camera on her while she sleeps here all day, and you could just watch the cat. That's fine. Donate $5 every time she turns over.
Right.
We'll get a pokey stick and we can put a hand on it.
Donate $5 for a pet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't cry. Don't cry. Okay. Well, I guess I will go in a little bit on how I use these when I do ghost hunting, because it is a lot like the readings. It's interacting with spirit. When we investigated a place in Colorado, I used them and they were really kind of going bonkers then, which was really fun to do. And like I said, it's kind of like doing this with you guys. You can see it, so it makes it really nice for you to have the experience and feel it as well. And so I'll ask spirit questions just like we are here, and I will get a little more direct answers because sometimes spirit really kind of gravitates to these because they're a real low energy pull. It doesn't take a lot of energy for them. It doesn't exhaust them. And it's not something different and technical. So it's something very simple that spirit just loves to work with. And all they have to do is push it around. So getting answers out of them, or newer spirits that are still learning how to work with the communication, especially with any of the paranormal equipment, they got to learn how to use it just like we do. So sometimes they're like that crotchety old man, which we had, and he didn't really want to mess with the electronic stuff. He was actually draining batteries so we couldn't use it. He was, the REM pod, sitting on that and wouldn't let go of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like he didn't like it.
Yeah, he's almost like, well, that's there, so it's annoying me, so I'm just going to annoy you with it.
Annoy you.
Becoming a little, like, just kind of, like old school, like people that still go to the bank.
Yeah, he was an old farmer.
Yeah, old farmer. He still goes to the bank to deposit his check. He's not going to use his direct deposit or whatever. There was, a ton, I would almost say a ton of electronic gear for our ghost hunt, or I don't want to say ghost hunt. That sounds... Investigation. I like investigation. But he was willing to communicate through probably a way that he knew how to communicate. A lot of older farmers, especially, in Colorado, would be, used to finding water on their land with dowsing rods,
And I didn't even think about that at the time that we were doing it either.
Yeah, exactly. Old farmer, he knew the technology, if you will, or his knowledge was, I don't want to say limited to, but he saw something that he might have been familiar with, and then that was it.
He's like, this is easy. Brass tacks, simple, cut and dry, yes, no.
Yeah. There's zero interference with those because it's just pure.
Mm-hmm.
There's no circuits to go through. There's no, buttons to push. Yeah. There's no lights to light and anything like that, which, now we're talking about it. It's like, wow, it makes sense.
It does.
And maybe as an informative thing for, say, people doing spirit investigation on older property. Don't rely on the new technology, the newest thing, the greatest thing. It might just be the simplest thing.
Yeah.
The dowsing rods, a pendulum, things like that.
And, being out in the middle of doing it just like we were, it's just like we didn't think about that. Because your brain is processing differently. You got so many things that you're watching, but it's like now that you're outside of it, you're like, oh, well, older technology, older spirit is going to gravitate where it's comfortable for him. I mean, you spent more time there than I did. Did he really mess with any electronic stuff when you were there? Or was it all...
Not really. It was just... it was noises, it was sounds, no electronics would, and it was basically an electronics store.
Yeah. So he never would gravitate toward any of the electronics. So it makes complete and total sense.
Yeah, now, kind of hindsight 2020.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, that's why this is happening, but the gear isn't going up.
Yeah.
Like, I think he shut down the FLIR,
Yeah, he shut down the FLIR a bunch, and then we had the SLS.
Mm-hmm.
We turned it around, and we saw the one figure on the rocks?
Yep.
And then it shut down, and it wouldn't even pick up. We had it plugged into the wall, because it was fully charged. Did the little thing, ooh, look, there's a figure, and it immediately shut down like that. And... then we plugged it back into the wall because it literally drained the battery that fast. And so we're like, okay, plug it in, go do some other stuff.
Then he shut it down because you didn't want to have anything to do with it.
It would charge, but then it would be dead when we'd go to use it. It was really crazy. And even the person who was investigating with us, he does a lot of investigations.
Yes.
Like, this is in his blood. This is why he was put on this earth. And he was like, I've never had that rate of battery drain anywhere. And this, what's the name of the Estes Hotel?
Stanley Hotel.
Stanley. Always forget it. Like, he's gone and investigated at the Stanley. So this guy has done, and a fire department in Denver he did.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's definitely been around the block.
yeah, he's done a lot of really awesome things. So for him to say, I've never experienced this level of battery drain, it was like, okay, well, we'll just leave that one there because he doesn't want us to see him.
Yeah, and now, like, you know, almost informative, like I said, with other investigations, don't rely on all the gear.
Yeah.
If they're not going for the tech, you know, not necessarily, they're draining it obviously to gain, you know, energy and strength, but maybe they're just shutting off. It's like, well, I don't want to talk that way.
Yeah.
You know, I don't communicate that way. So maybe potentially breaking it down to the real old school and using those devices or implements, if you will, because they're no longer devices. You know, that could be something for anyone doing investigation to just fall back on the rudimentary, you know, implements.
Exactly.
So
and
that
I mean,
just,
that was 2 years ago we did that, I think? Year and a half?
2 years, yeah, it's about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's
And
you
now
know,
we're just finally seeing.
now it's clicking, you know. So
And, you know, I remember because you were like, why do you have all of your stuff?
yeah,
Because I'm going to use it all. Duh.
You're gonna bust it out, yeah.
It's like, first we had our buddy that showed up with the pickup truck bed full of equipment.
Yeah.
Multiple trips, and here I am. I'm like, bam, 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 and you're just like, we need all of that? Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
This is all mine. This is all my stuff.
It is all mine, and it is amazing,
Right.
and we need it all. So, cool. What do we got going in the comments? Everybody kind of sleepy today?
Yeah, it's Wednesday, but that's also a good thing to also talk about. We will still rely on technology.
Yes.
So Scarlet has her donation page up because we're looking to get into some more tech.
Yes.
So if you're watching this later and have a couple bucks to donate, it's always appreciated. Now that we're settled in our new home, we can start checking out other places. Unfortunately, Florida having some of the oldest settlement, at least colonial settlement, in the U.S., you know, being on the East Coast, not just Upper East Coast, but definitely colonial settlement. You know, we've got people from, you know, Spaniards coming in. You know, I'll have to do the history, do the research on that, and
well, and then, you know, like Ybor City in Tampa.
yeah,
That
you know,
whole area with all of that Cuban and Spanish culture.
mhm.
It's you could just feel the energy. We went there when we first came out for a trip, and you know, just even walking around in the streets at night, you could feel it. And well, we came across a episode of, what was it, Dead Files, I think it was, where
Yeah,
they
Dead
actually,
Files.
and it was like, oh, I've seen that building, so you know, maybe we can hit them up and be like, hey, can we do a thing here?
Yeah, yeah.
But Florida is definitely much more open to this stuff, which is great. I love that. And I really want to be able to not just be like, oh, ooh, that was spooky, but understand the spirit, understand what they need. And it's not really what they want, because they need something. They need something. Something is holding them here. And then once they have what they need, once they have given the messages that they want and need to give, then typically they're able to go be at rest. Now, sometimes spirits just like to hang out in places. I went by the Chris Watts and Shanann Watts home in Colorado before we left, and I could feel the energy there. And of course, the energy of the neighbors that were a little, you know, not too crazy about everybody coming by, which I can understand. And I just walked around the neighborhood, and, you know, going past the house, it was like, people ask me, well, whoever buys that house, it's going to be haunted. It's like, it's not really going to be haunted. Now, there's going to be a lot of residual because those babies were there and they had so much fun there, and you're going to hear them laughing and playing. You're going to hear Shanann laughing and playing, but it's all really going to be residual because she's where she wants to be. She's with her family. She has her babies and is with her family. She's not going to hang out at some house with bad memories, and she's not gonna have her kids there. It's, you know, think of it as a very positive thing, and her being able to just be like, yeah, I don't need to hang out there because my happy place is somewhere else. So, you know, some places have their chosen spirits because that's their happy place, and some have them there for a reason. And I really want to find the ones that are there for a reason, and even the happy place, because those are just fun to talk to, because it's like talking to your grandma about what they've done in the past. So I have talked your guys' ears off enough. If you ever need a reading, just let me know. And of course, I do thank you in advance for donating to my little fundraiser. This is the first fundraiser I've done. But definitely feels good to know that people instill the trust that they do into me and into my readings, and that Spirit instills the trust that it does. So everyone, if you have any questions about anything, the dowsing rods or anything, just let me know. Hit me up with a message. I'm always pretty much available. So thank you so much for everything, and we will see you next week.